A subscription agreement is meant to document the terms of an investor or a group of investors' subscription of shares in the target company. Moving on to the key terms of a subscription agreement. The first term I would like to speak about is the subscription of the subscription shares. This clause will provide how much each investor has to pay for the subscription of the relevant subscription shares, in the case of the VIMA documents, Series A preference shares. It also explains how many Series A preference shares each investor will receive. The next term I would like to speak about is the completion provision. The completion provision essentially states or lists out the various actions that need to be taken by the investor and the company at completion. One point I would flag at this stage is that the VIMA subscription agreement is drafted on the basis of a simultaneous sign and close. What this means is that the investors are required to fund on the day of signing of the subscription agreement. This is to be contrasted to a situation where we have a split sign-close document or a conditional subscription agreement where certain conditions have to be satisfied first before funding takes place. Next, we move on to post-completion undertakings. This is a deal-specific provision which may or may not be applicable depending on the specific transaction at hand. Moving on to limitation of liability provisions. The VIMA subscription document also provides for some limitation of liability provisions. The key or common ones used are A. Time limitations, B. A cap on liability, C. De minimis provision, D. Changes of law or accounting practices. These limitation of liability provisions are commercial points which require negotiation and discussion as between principals. One last point before moving away from limitation of liability provisions: such provisions will not be applicable in the event that there's fraud, dishonesty, willful concealment, or misrepresentation on the part of the warrantors. This is a relatively customary carve-out for the limitation of liability provisions. Last but not least, I will move on to the terms of the Series A preference share. The key terms to be discussed are A. Voting rights, B. Liquidation preference, C. Dividend rights, and D. Conversion rights. Voting rights. The VIMA subscription agreement provides for the Series A preference shares to vote together with the ordinary shareholders on an as-if converted basis. Liquidation preference rights. The VIMA documents provide for 1 time of the initial subscription price and gives an option for parties to choose whether thereafter liquidation preference should be on a participating, non-participating basis. Dividend rights. Should dividends be paid on a pari passu basis with the ordinary shares, or should the preference shareholders be entitled to receive a cumulative or non-cumulative preference dividend prior to any dividends declared on ordinary shares? The VIMA documents provide for 2 kinds of conversion: automatic conversion and optional conversion. In the case of automatic conversion, the shares are automatically converted into ordinary shares in the event of A. qualifying IPO, or B. if a certain percentage of the Series A shareholders agree to such conversion.